Welcome on board the National Geographic Venture. We are here to explore the inside passage of Southeast Alaska. An incredible landscape, once covered by enormous glaciers. Southeast Alaska has a great diversity of life. We hopefully will go out and see stellar sea lions, humpback whales, bears. It's going to be a phenomenal expedition. Once again, welcome on board the National Geographic Venture.
Good afternoon. Welcome to one of my favorite places in the world. This is Tracy Arm. Tracy Arm is a story of ice, just like almost our entire trip. You've got ice that has carved everything we can see. So over thousands or tens of thousands of years or hundreds of thousands of years, the ice has gone out and come back and gone out and come back. Anything round was covered by ice. Only the little pointy peaks, there's a couple way up there, were sticking up above. So the glaciers are giant bulldozers coming from the border with Canada, way up there, maybe 10 or 15 miles away, grinding their way down, and they formed this whole thing. So we're gonna zoom our way up through the ice, hopefully see some calving. So, Vamonos! Glacial ice is very, very dense, and about 85% is below water, 15 is above. This one has flipped. So the piece on the left that looks like a white kind of mushroom cap, that was the top, and everything to the right of straight ahead was all underwater. That shows you how much is underwater and how much is above. And that is an example of almost all the ice we'll be seeing. The white on the top, melting because of the air. It's warmer than freezing right now. Underwater is typically much bluer, and the blue ice is the really, really dense ice. So most of the air is forced out. When the light hits it, all the wavelengths are absorbed and the blue comes back, and that's what we see. The ice from this glacier is as beautiful as it gets. Earlier in the year, the harbor seals give birth on the ice. And just after a short period of time, maybe about 1 month of nursing that pup, they wean it and it's on its own. They're up here for safety, right? So if they were way down lower, they'd have to worry about bears on land, and in the water they would have to worry about killer whales. So they congregate on the ice because it's safer. It's not totally safe. The killer whales can come up here and eat them. As this ice pushes out and moves farther out of the fjord, they want to be up here where it's safer, so they'll get back in and swim back up. So it's always changing here. The wind is pushing the ice out, they're all drifting out, and pretty soon they're going to have to jump back in and go get on new pieces of ice. I first came here in 2003, and when I came in 2003, we would be touching the glacier right now. About 300 feet tall, right here. So I'll show you some pictures at recap, but we would be touching the face. 300 feet tall, maybe a mile, mile and a half wide, and extending all the way back. So not only is it retreating back, but it was also hundreds of feet thicker, right? And that hundreds of feet of thicker ice is all now in the ocean. So this place is changing incredibly fast. Together coming down.
Today we're in Petersburg, and many of us are exploring the docks, looking at various fishing vessels. Petersburg was founded by a Norwegian by the name of Peter Bushman. He saw an opportunity for A, great fishing, abundant salmon and halibut, and B, a source of ice. LeConte Glacier is not that far. We visited this morning, and there is all this ice floating by that would have provided important cold storage for salmon and halibut during a time when there was no refrigeration. On the dock walk, we saw lots of active fishing vessels. Today is really special because we get to see a working town. Fishing is so integral to Southeast Alaska, and to visit a town that's solely relying on commercial fishing is really a fantastic experience.
This morning we woke up and we were cruising up through Chatham Strait. We stopped near Warm Springs where we picked up Andy Szabo, and he gave a talk on humpback whales. Afterwards, it was perfect timing. Right as he finished his presentation, off in the distance we saw a big group of bubble netting humpback whales. So they were cooperatively feeding, foraging for the fish together. So Tongass National Rainforest is the largest intact old-growth temperate rainforest on Earth. It's 17 million acres. It is mostly where we'll be going in Southeast Alaska. So within Tongass National Forest there are wilderness areas. We are able to get out and hike inside of the National Forest. So on the hikes today, we'll be hiking along an old mining road. Hopefully we'll find a lot of banana slugs. They love this area. As well as a few different berries, thimbleberry, blueberry, huckleberry, and possibly some signs from bears. So there are bears on the ABC Islands, so bear scat, bear tracks. This is a really special environment because we get to see all of the Tongass National Rainforest that we'll be hiking through, so it should be a nice day.
Today, we are here in Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve. Once we pull out of Bartlett Cove, we're going to head north in the West Arm. And our first stop in the morning is at South Marble Island. South Marble Island is a great place to see stellar sea lions, birds, We often see coastal brown bears here, so as we make our way north up through the West Arm, we're always looking for brown bears along the shore. Just 250 years ago, this entire bay was filled with ice. Since then, these glaciers have receded back, and we can make our way 65 miles up into the bay now. So it's amazing to think that we would have been thousands of feet under ice just 250 years ago. So as these glaciers recede, they open up Glacier Bay deeper and deeper, and today we make our way into Johns Hopkins Inlet to see Johns Hopkins Glacier. The calving face of Johns Hopkins Glacier is about a mile wide. Now, Johns Hopkins Glacier is a tidewater glacier, meaning that it flows down through the mountains and makes its way all the way to the tidewater. Johns Hopkins Glacier is just recently noticed to be receding rather than advancing. Here in Alaska, they estimate that there are somewhere around 100,000 glaciers, and most all of those glaciers are receding very rapidly. So Johns Hopkins Glacier was one of the handful of glaciers that were still advancing, and now that seems to have changed. So that is an indicator of changing times and the effect of changing climate. So when you visit Southeast Alaska, one of the best ways to see Southeast Alaska is from the water. And here on the National Geographic Venture, we have a perfect opportunity to cruise up into these protected waters and see so much wildlife and this beautiful landscape. So it's really special experience to be able to come into this wonderful national park and see all of this beauty and the glory of nature here in Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve.
I liked every moment of the trip. My favorite part was watching the bear this morning rip all the salmon apart. It was watching a bear in its native habitat. It was an impressive, large, beautiful, monstrous, natural animal, and it was really amazing.
Probably the highlight of the trip was when the whale breached over the port side of the bow unexpectedly, and we saw a ton of rainbows, and I love that too.
My favorite part was the sea lions from the Zodiac. It was just fantastic. Watching the sea go up and down, the sea lions popping out, it was brilliant.
The whole trip was fantastic. I loved the boat, I loved the people, we made new friends. I thought the naturalists were amazing. Everybody was really friendly. I loved the bears and the whales and everything.
I'm like everyone else. I thought it was wonderful. My favorite part, though, was seeing puffins and otters.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and also like the whales, like when they were bubble netting, like it was so amazing how they could just like make bubbles and sound and just jump out and eat thousands of fish at a time.
Every day was full of adventure and joy, and I loved every minute of it. Each day got better and better. The whole trip exceeded my expectations.
I feel like every time I come to Alaska, every day I see something new, or it's totally different than last time, and I never know what to expect. It's just totally wild. Totally, totally wild every time. When you get to see something that you love through the eyes of someone who's never seen it before, it just makes it all that more exciting to be able to share it. This week has been truly fantastic. We have seen so much, and I'm so grateful to have been able to share it with you all. Thank you so much for coming with us, and we all hope to see you again somewhere on this big blue planet that we all call home.
Yeah, and we broke the video chronicler.